Dr. Ajok Akwei, please. Thank you.
Professor Al-Shahi, the faces of Sudanese, we were a little bit lost myself. My greeting to you all. We are here, not mourn Bona Malwal, but for contribution is into its legacy. And I'm going to go practically follow the trail of Bona, especially in Khartoum from 1960 until his last day. And that is mainly on his political contribution to Sudan at that time. Bona appeared in Khartoum in 1960. Of course, he missed the 1958 Parliament, where the South and the North dispersed for the first time. Instead of making peace, they dispersed to Parliament, and the South went to war. That was the date in which the South decided to go to war in 1958, followed by the army here about to go over, and everybody was quiet. So Bona was among the people, among those who actually went down into working secretly, politically, because Bona believed that the solution at the end will be through dialogue and peace, not violence. And they created Southern Front inside. And Southern Front was followed by all South Sudanese. All South Sudanese were in Southern Front, and those outside Anyanya and Sano were also doing their own job. Here, he started in two ways his career in the Ministry of Information, National Ministry of Information, and Bona went underground because with South Sudanese. He was one of the founders of Southern Front, supported by Darius Bashir. Darius Bashir then was working with the Shell company. Darius Bashir is from Wow. He's from Wow. He's a relative of Clement Oboro. And effectively, for the first time, they started to organize South Sudanese who were working in the administration, and those in the police, and those also in finance, like Hilary Lugali, and the rest of intellectuals. And you know, with Sudanese, we were accepted by middle class of Sudanese, the intellectuals, and the University of Khartoum. Sudanese were special, the intellectuals together. We were never discriminated. And Bona sneaked into society of Khartoum, and the same thing with those Southern Sudanese were employed by the government. They were not in the market. But the foreign and many South Sudanese came to Khartoum and got employed in the industry one way or another, or in the markets. He organized them effectively, as well as the other parties of the Sudanese who were also organizing to get rid of the military. Good. So October came. When October came, South Sudanese all over, and the Sudanese all. This was the meeting point of all Sudanese coming together, Southerners and Northerners. And effectively, they brought October. The October Revolution was for all the Sudanese who were involved. The transition government accommodated Southern Front, and they worked together. They worked together and they brought about what is known as the Round Table Conference. The Round Table Conference was managed by intellectuals and also University of Khartoum. Nazir Fala was to head the conference. And the conference was well attended, including Agri Jade, who was leading Sano outside, and some members of the Nyanya movement came together with William Deng and Agri Jade. The conference was really attended and well organized. So the parties were the ones negotiating, giving speeches, and so on. The middle class that understood the problem were actually now white. They were not the one leading, except the Prime Minister Sirkati. This conference came into loggerhead between Southern Sudan parties, which were Southern Front and SANU outside, and SANU inside of William Day. This conference, unfortunately attended by Africans and people concerned, but it failed. The conference failed because the parties could not get into together with Southern Sudan. Bona, who was a league in Southern Front, called to self-determination. Bona believed that self-determination can come about through democratic means. It is not by violence. So self-determination, they define it. It is the right of the people, the right that is exercised by vote, not by gun. And the rest is in the conference. It was rejected, unfortunately. William then raised federation, it could not go in, and the conference was adjourned, come back. And they formed what was known as 12-man committee. 6 South Sudanese politicians, including Bona, and 6 from the north. They couldn't also come with a solution. They recommended self-government. The self-government they recommended could not go back to the conference. The conference could not be called to come back. At the end, Numeri came in. But I don't want to skip the vigilant. We became everyday paper carried by all the South Sudanese, even those who do not know how to write and read. It became their paper. And that was run by Bona. Bona decided to sit and run Vigilant. The Vigilant was the one that educated Southerners and Northerners alike. It was led by the North. And it was good that during that time, Bona never slipped into something personal, never. And Bonner did not concentrate on the conflict of identity in the Sudan. He actually put that out because he didn't want to cite people, Arab and Africans. He did not do it, except when William Deng came in. William Deng stirred up the identity. And these problems that we are facing now in Sudan and South Sudan, it was William Deng son that stirred it up. It was not born, it was on the paper. He was advocating this, and he was advising that, look, we don't indulge in this thing because the North have got Muslims. The Islam of Northern Sudan came peacefully and actually got into people of Sudan from the indigenous and became the religion of Sudan. Seriously, it was not by force. It came by Ittifaqiyya al-Batt. I think some of you remember. But actually brought it. They threw a Sophia al-Bari. You see, it came. Now, that was the stage one, where the problem of South Sudan was recognized, and mainly by middle class understanding, Sudanese were the best. There was no discrimination. And we who stayed in Khartoum for over 50 years, what prevented us not to get married with from northern Sudan, especially Shimalia, because Akhlaq down, especially now, they are very close to our generosity, knowledge, all this. We are, and only the Islamic law prevented us. But the family, like we are sitting today, everything that happened, we will all find ourselves together all the time. You cannot see discrimination which happen in other countries. Ajama, Beleda is special. And we are losing it now. But this country would have actually affected the whole of Africa. Again, we know why. Because our neighbors have actually helped us to put our domestic problem together. One kept on, and then Numeri came. Numeri stopped the vigilance, but he did one thing, another time of the problem. Numeri came with and declared on 9 June, 19. Is it 69? 69. And declared that the problem would be solved by peacefully. You see? And Bonner is view on this. He was very instrumental among us. And Mary got the agreement, the Addis Ababa Agreement 1962, which actually put us into participation, and we assumed that it would continue. But at the end, usually, when soldiers come and make a coup in Sudan, you find parties behind that person. So there were parties behind the Mary who didn't like that government in South Sudan. They pull out, the socialists pull out. And the traditional parties were out there with the National Front fighting him. The man got isolated in the north. And because of his isolation, he turned back to Turabi Sadiq Al-Mahdi, Margani, Ukalas. And he is back now to South Sudan and agreed cancellation of the agreement. That brought SPLA. That brought SPLA with unity. The unity actually got committed to unity. And this one, the Islamists captured it and commit themselves to self-determination for South Sudan. And I used to talk with Rabi. Umara, he told me, Chuf, Chuf Nasa way. And I was told Nasi way, my Nasi, if you have, they are dying. That's the way Nanu Bulaja in English will end up in butter. He told me like this. Unanu, there is no shop. دولة إسلامية هنا لكن انتم ده يعني الاستعمار أنا أديكم جنوب في الجنوب كنا معرفة في الشمال ده أنا صار معه وانتم مع الاستعمار شوف لأنه السودان برجع السودان هيرجع لو ما جاء أفريقيا بكام the African will unite. And when they unite, we will know their borders. So Ajal Jai, I give Sudan so. Now, he captured that one and use it. He used it with the young Maya, and he used it with Garam, and he used it with us. And that is the separation of South Sudan. This separation of South Sudan was not ours. Garam did not call for it. It came as a result of that system, which I said before, Lanu and Gistapulu, Namaniji Askari, Warao is my Maki Askari Jabao. Abu Jab, Nalvarao. Numeri Jab, Nalvarao. Bashir Jab, Nalvarao. So we cannot blame only soldiers. Lakin, Fakad al-Balad, with Anas, Sudaninda, tell us there is nothing discriminated in Sudan. You see, they answer. Within the Sudan, there is no. And I will cut it here, but I have a long list of what I'm saying. Long list of Bona, his contribution to Sudan, and his contribution throughout. And Malcolm has actually told you throughout writing. So Bona, to say what about the man, to conclude, Bona, Agigatan is what we call emotional intelligent man, and very self-regulated. Uragil with an agenda.
Yeah.
Bona will not work without agenda, and will follow everyday mission of his to do it. As such, the CSI, Shogol with that Sudan line, was done by Bona. He did a lot of things. And I will stop here. Lakin, I want to conclude like this. That Sudan. And we have to think about the Sudan seriously. In the south and in the north, what we can do to bring peace. We are all Sudanese, and if what we are fighting, there should not be somebody discriminated. They are all Sudanese. Now in South Sudan, at the cattle, the Sudanese are going to Khartoum. Most of the health, they are saving people now in Juba. The other side is also there together. But we are treating the Sudanese as Sudanese without actual discrimination of ideas, what side they are supporting, what side they are supporting, they are all Sudanese. And we are treating them, they are not refugees, we are sitting together together. And we want to say that let us turn our eye to our country. Even if we are two countries, we are just one. And the extension of Sudanese is everywhere in Egypt and everywhere in West Africa. If you go to Senegal, you go Sudanese. Mali, Sudanese. And everybody is Sudanese. Sudanese in history. Haya, يعني بلده يعني وكيت بتاع not there. We were all accepted in London because Sudanese were brought up and they were not thieves, they were not corrupt. They were not thieves, they were special administrators. In this country, our people never miss work. Now, we got, of course, lured into and we have to revisit our history so that we come together and discuss seriously in order to return our country. Domestically, we were actually intimidated by neighbors, and they want to continue. Asal salam to Sudan, going into Washed. Vamos lá. Mendirana.
Thank you very much, Aldo, for this. Really. Reflecting on Bona's contribution and your contribution during very difficult period of Sudan modern history, post-independence. So we are very grateful for your contributions, Aldo. Thank you.